Councilman Bowman will lead us in the pledge. Please stand.
Please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Thank you for such a beautiful weekend. Help us as we look forward to a rainy week, and yes, go easy on that rain on us a little bit. Help us to make good decisions and have good conversation today and lead our city in the right direction. Amen.
Amen. Face the flag and repeat after me, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
I'm not getting sick on my chest. It's kicked up again. I'm working on myself.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Bradford.
Present.
Mr. Everson.
Here.
Mr. Jenkins. Mr. Corbin.
Present.
Mr. Flurry.
Here.
Ms. Lynch. Mr. Bowman.
Here.
Okay, thank you. We have a quorum to proceed, and tomorrow I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of our administrative conference on February 22nd, as well as our city council meeting on February 28th. At this time, we will, do any council members have any awards, recognitions, or distinguished guests they want to recognize at this time? Seeing none. Madam Mayor? Do you have
Not
any?
today. Thank you,
Not
Mr.
today.
Chairman.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Okay. Reports, property standards. Anybody have any questions or concerns regarding property standards?
No.
Thank you.
No.
Tomorrow, Mr. Crawford will be, have we received our,
I believe I sent the email out last week with the revenue collections. Did the council receive it?
Yes.
Okay.
we did? Okay, I know I received the surety bond property report, but I'll check again.
Yes,
I had
sir.
a weekend that was pretty taxing, so we'll be okay.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Is there anything on the agenda for public hearing for tomorrow? The clerk is out. I don't suspect there is. Do we have any legislative to add to the agenda, Mr. Crawford?
We do, Mr. Chairman. We're going to be adding two ordinances tomorrow. Ordinance 29 amends the 2016 Downtown Parking Enterprise Fund budget, and then Ordinance 30 will amend and be a companion to Ordinance 29, amending the 2016 General Fund budget. Both of those have to do with $100,000 being moved from the Downtown Parking Enterprise Fund to the General Fund to be a companion of the $500,000 that was approved by council last year, for a total of $600,000 to be put toward a downtown development project.
Okay. All right, we'll be prepared to receive that tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
Public comments regarding items on the agenda. I have no forums, so I guess there is none, but I know tomorrow we will have several. So council, if you will, let's try to be here and start as close to 3 as we can, because tomorrow is going to be a very busy afternoon, I believe. Mr. Crawford, may proceed with regular agenda items.
Yes, sir. Consent agenda legislation. There is nothing to introduction for ordinances and resolutions. To adopt ordinances and resolutions under consent agenda legislation. Resolution 37 suspends the effects of certain provisions of Chapter 10 and Chapter 106 of the City of Shreveport Code of Ordinances relative to the St. Patrick's Day event. Resolution 38 suspends the effects of certain provisions of Chapter 10 and Chapter 106 of the City of Shreveport Code of Ordinances relative to the Big Scene. Resolution 29 suspending the effects of certain provisions of Chapter 10 and Chapter 106 of the City of Shreveport Code of Ordinances relative to the Alive After 5 events. Resolution 40 suspends the effects of sections 10-190 and 10-192 and sections 62 through 65A of the City of Shreveport Code of Ordinances relative to the historic South Highland Neighborhood Association Spring Fling. Resolution 41 suspends the effects of sections 10-190 and 10-192 and sections 62 through 65A of the City of Shreveport Code of Ordinances relative to the Southern Hills Homeowners Association Music in the Park. Resolution 46 suspends the certain provisions of Chapter 106 and Chapter 10 relative to dispensing, sale, and/or the consumption of alcoholic beverages at R.W. Norton Art Gallery, 4747 Crestwell Avenue, for the Shreveport Derby Day. And then Resolution 49 suspends provisions of Chapter 10 and Chapter 106 of the Code of Ordinances relative to the sale, dispensing, and consumption of alcoholic beverages at Kai Mexico for the 5-day De Mayo parking lot party.
Okay, any questions or concerns regarding the resolutions that has been presented by Mr. Crawford?
Lots of outdoor partying going on.
It appears.
I will say this just as a comment. We had previously talked, and I think it might be a good idea to follow up on it, about setting up maybe some sort of an official procedure that allows us to not have to hear all of these as exemptions. I mean, we're exempting so many things from this. Obviously, if we had a regular process in place, there's probably a need for that. So I may take another look at that in the next few months, because we do seem to do this quite often.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea, because usually, I mean, these are items that, are wholesome items, usually that promotes our city and brings some revenue into the city, so we want to be very prudent in doing what's good for the citizens. Before we move on, Mr. Crawford, I received this.
Just a,
Oh, I'm sorry.
just a housekeeping note. I think on Resolution 49, that should read Cinco de Mayo parking lot party and not.
And not 5 De Mayo. That was like a 5-day event or something.
All right, okay, well, that's an easy one to correct. I don't think that would affect the resolution.
Mixture of nationalities there.
Okay, thank you, Councilman, for that observation and correction. I received this that says 3434 Caldwell. What's that?
That is a property standards case, so
Okay.
maybe they want to speak during the property standards appeals.
Okay, I just noticed it, I didn't see it, okay. It was said agenda item, but
Yeah.
but it's not, it's a proper standard agenda item, okay.
Nope, that's, yeah,
All right, Mr. Crawford, you may continue in introduction of ordinances.
certainly. Regular agenda legislation, resolutions on second reading and final passage, or which will require only one reading. Resolution 10 supports the completion of Interstate 49 through the intercity corridor. And Resolution 47 urges and requests the Louisiana Legislature to oppose any reduction in funding relative to the University Health, LSU Health Shreveport School of Medicine, Southern University Shreveport, and Louisiana State University at Shreveport.
Okay. Any questions or concerns regarding these two, or resolutions rather, that has been?
I'll just say briefly on the on Resolution 47. That's just just a request that they consider those. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of cuts coming through in the state in this both special and the full session that are going to be coming up this year, and it's just a standard. Let's ask them to consider us and have them keep us in the mind. It never hurts to remind them how important those particular things are to our community. There are other institutions that aren't included in here that are also important, but these are some of the primary ones that we wanted to make sure they knew were important to us.
Very good, thank you. And let me just mention a word about Resolution 10. Now, my desire is that we will bring closure to this resolution. This resolution was first introduced back in January. In consideration of the council as well as the public, I've allowed it to continue to be postponed. This is a symbolic resolution. I really didn't expect that a lot of commentary coming from the public would be afforded us, because we have no decision in where this route would take place. But as leaders of the city, it comes with the territory to take positions on items that will affect our city. But the deadline for any commentary or public input has expired. It was February 8th. Additional information has been relayed to us through social media and other means. I think everybody have had an opportunity, council members, to review all aspects of this project. And I'm just going to trust that on tomorrow we could vote and resolve of it and move on. We have so much business city business that are on our preview to deal with, and we can lay this one to rest and move on with the issues and the concerns of our city. So I'm anticipating, as I've gotten calls and I've gotten emails, a good group to be here tomorrow to give their input on this item. Again, a symbolic item that our position has no real influence or power to those that are making the decision, but yet they will be coming to us, and we will hear them. But I think the responsibility of voting this is within our own conscience and what we feel is best for the city. I'm going to ask that the council members be here again closer to 3 as they can, so we can get started and address all these issues. I may have to leave early, and I want to be here to vote on this legislation. Okay, Ms. Crawford, any other comments regarding any items on this, these resolutions? If not, Ms. Crawford, you may continue.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Introduction of resolutions not to be adopted prior to March 22nd, 2016. Resolution 46 authorizes the use of certain equipment by Shreveport Green for the Great American Cleanup. Resolution 43 authorizes the use of certain city equipment by the Department of the Air Force during the Barksdale Air Force Base Show. Resolution 44 authorizes the use of certain equipment by the North Shreveport Business Association. Resolution 45 authorizes the execution of a retainer agreement with Gregorio, Chafin, and Johnson, LLC, Joshua K. Williams, Attorney at Law, LLC, and Chris Joseph Jr. Curtis Joseph Jr. Resolution 48, ordering and calling a special election to be held in the city of Shreveport, state of Louisiana, to authorize the renewal of the levy and collections of the 1/4% sales and use tax therein, making application to the State Bond Commission in connection therewith, and providing for all other matters in connection therewith. This is the renewal of the 1/4% sales tax for fire and police salaries and equipment.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Any questions, comments regarding these resolutions? I didn't look at the details. Resolution 45. What are we doing there, Mr. Crawford?
Have the city attorney come up and brief you on that, Mr. Chairman.
Madam Chairman, members of the council, mayor, CAO. Resolution 45 is a retainer agreement between 3 law firms that are jointly going to work on a project. It's the Alum lawsuit. There was a price fixing issue that arose on certain chemicals that we use to purify water. Has no effect on the quality of our water. It's just the price that we paid for the chemical. And so we're instituting a lawsuit against that company trying to recover that overpayment. These are the individuals who are actually working on the lawsuit. They're seated on the back row if you'd like to speak to any of them as well. And it's a contingency fee basis, so it's not a traditional retainer agreement. It will be paid, from the proceeds of the agreement or judgment that we may receive.
Thank you. Let me ask you, and again, I'm going to review that. I didn't have a chance to do a whole lot over the weekend. If we was to just look at the return on our commitment to in the law firms that will be engaged in this project, this litigation, what would be a ballpark figure of our judgment?
Well, at this time, it's very preliminary, so we do not have a total amount of all the invoices paid, and we're still gathering all of those documents. It's going to be, probably a couple of months, well, a month or at least, before we actually have a hard number to a ballpark of what we can expect at this time. We know it's more than we have now. We know that it's something that is worth pursuing. It's significant, stands to be significant, and so we want to make sure that we engage the best lawyers, the most experienced, and those who are ready to kind of get down in the trenches and really go after this, because again, it's going to be a lot of work, but we do anticipate recovery.
Thank you, City Attorney. And I have not looked at the fact sheet on this. Tell me again the arrangements as it relates to compensation.
Yes, sir. This is a contingency fee basis retainer agreement, which means that the city of Shreveport does not pay anything up front. The proceeds, the attorneys who will be working on this matter are compensated from the proceeds of any judgment or settlement that's reached in this matter. So it's, akin to your, I call them your contingency fee contracts where, we're not paying anything up front, so there's no commitment from the city financially at this point, only, upon success from either a judgment or settlement.
Can one of the lawyers come up for a second?
Yes.
And while he's coming, if I may, Mr. Chairman, one of the things that we've been trying to do is to recover funding because we know that we need
Been
money.
successful in doing that, madam.
And absolutely, and I want to applaud our attorney, city attorney and his staff for doing that. We have found a lot of instances where we have not actually collected funding that we need and that we are due. We're trying to overcome that because every dollar that we get, we need to use to help provide better services, address some of the challenges that we face, and that's what they've been doing. That's what they've been charged to do. And in this case, if we don't collect, then they don't collect. So they'll collect because they want their money, and we want some money. So, so basically, we are at a situation where it's win-win. So
And
I just
those are
wanted
the
to, I wanted
type
to
of
make sure that
situations
I.
love.
Sir?
Win-win situations.
Yes, sir.
Sir,
Okay,
please
thank
introduce
you.
yourself. Thank you, Mayor.
Good afternoon, Sam Gregorio, 7600 Fern Avenue, Building 700, Shreveport, Louisiana.
Okay. And again, I apologize for my not being totally up to speed on this. Can you tell me what do you know and what experience you have in dealing with these type of litigations?
Yeah, yes, sir. And I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
My first question was, have you reviewed this case and tell me your experiences in dealing with these type of cases?
Well, all that we do is litigation. So we've handled business litigation and personal injury litigation. Those are the two areas. This is a case dealing with price fixing, violation of the Sherman Antitrust Act on the federal level, and the price fixing on the state level for the Louisiana Unfair Trade Practices Act. The Frank Reichel was a senior executive with General Chemical Corporation who pled guilty in New Jersey to price fixing. There have been multiple suits filed across the country over this very thing, so we would be one of the similar patterns of suits. There was the underlying facts are these several companies got together and they exchanged confidential and competitively sensitive information. They then agreed to stay away from each other's historical clients, so you got limited bidding. The next thing they did was they set out to agree to intentionally losing or throwaway bids so that you had a guaranteed victor. Then with all that, they then set a price for a floor so that the losing bidder would know how low to, above which to bid so that he would intentionally lose. So the result of all that was collusion and non-competitive pricing that maintained artificially high prices for the alum, of which the city of Shreveport bought a good bit between 1997 and 2010. Now, the venue would probably be in federal court here in Shreveport. We'd love it to be in state court, but we don't think we can defeat diversity. We would probably get removed to a multi-district litigation, which is in New Jersey. They do the preliminary work that's sent back to the local jurisdiction for trial. So if there's a trial, it would be here. There are issues in the case. There's no, one is we need proof. We're going to need the bidding process. We need the bulk that was purchased and the pricing. We have to make sure that the city has those records going back to 1997 to 2010. We're not positive that they're all there, but if they're not there, we think there's other ways to get them. So that's problem number one. We're going to need some expert testimony, probably. Again, this is preliminary. Maybe a commodities expert, maybe an economist to generate what the actual dollar is. We do not want to or intend to be part of a class action, but we could be pulled into a class action that can delay us. It can also reduce the recovery. We'll have to work that out as we go. There's always the possibility of a bankruptcy by General Chemical. That would be a problem. And then lastly, the MDL or a class action or a bankruptcy could slow down the process. And the city may or may not have an interest in moving it more quickly, and we'd have to just deal with that as we go forward. So that's a nice overview of the case, both the pros and the cons.
Very good. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
That enlightened me a lot. Councilman Everson.
Oh, I was just going to ask, in the cases that have, already come to pass in this particular situation, have there been a large number of those?
Yes. And,
So it is something, I mean, I suppose, I guess what I'm getting at is there a sort of a baseline set of economics that we already sort of understand? I'm just saying it's probably very difficult in a price-fixing situation to say, what would the price have been notwithstanding this activity?
That's a big issue. There are a lot of cases, but they have not progressed to any degree. To answer your second part, is there a well-understood dynamics? The answer to that at the moment is no. We're still pursuing that.
So would you say we're sort of on the early end of people pursuing this, or midway through the pack, or?
I would not say early, but I would say we're at the beginning.
Okay, good.
Suits have definitely been filed, so I can't say early, but nothing has happened that we're not late or in the middle for. We're at the beginning stage.
Great.
Good. Well, any other questions from any council?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your comments. Attorney, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Before we go to move on, Mr. Crawford,
Yes, sir.
my hands are cold. Can we lower the heat, the air a little?
I've already.
You've done that?
They did.
Okay, all right.
We're working on it now. Yeah, it's feeling a little less like an ice box up here, but it's still a little cool.
Relayed your request as far, and they're taking action. I think it was to the number of lawyers that were in the room. Should be warming up as they go.
And
You
they
may
depart.
have a point there. You just may have a point.
And by the way, I want to just say this, and Sam is leaving. He has such an outstanding reputation as a litigator.
Question.
Probably 95 to 98% of all the things that he goes after, he gets. And so that's a pretty good rate.
Oh, yeah.
And so we always look for the talented, most skillful people to get our money. And we've been getting it.
And I
So
saw at least 2 of the attorneys that were in there on his team are proud constituents of District B, if not more than that, but at least 2 that I recognize as being pretty close neighbors of mine.
but they're good at what they do.
Well, again, Mayor, I don't know the scenario in which this came to this point, but I appreciate you seeing it and your staff seeing it, and that the opportunity for us to recoup something that's ours.
We're going after everything we can.
And then some.
Mr. Crawford, we may continue with,
Yes, sir. Introduction of ordinances not to be adopted prior to March 22nd, 2016. Ordinance 23 amends the 2016 budget for the general fund. Ordinance 24 amends the 2016 retained risk budget. Ordinance 25 amends the 2016 capital improvements budget regarding the intermodal facility. Ordinance 27 declares the city's intention to acquire full ownership of certain adjudicated properties for community development civil right museum project. Ordinance 27 declaring the city's intention to acquire full ownership of certain adjudicated properties for community development's Heritage Place project. And then Ordinance 28 amends Chapter 106 of the Code of Ordinances regarding group homes.
let me make the council aware that ordinance 23, I'm going to pull that tomorrow. I'm not at this point ready to proceed, so the administration be aware that I'm going to,
Yes, sir.
okay. And in addition to that, any other comments, Councilman Jenkins?
Ordinance 28, I going to propose removing that tomorrow. Put forth a resolution that sends to the MPC to go through their procedure. Because though it is currently in the UDC's draft, it hasn't formally been advertised in compliance with MPC state law.
Oh, okay.
So it needs to be advertised, formalized, at a vote there at the MPC before we can vote on it. And, you know, so that's in order to go along with the policy. My intent on this is to serve as an interim solution until the UDC is adopted, because under the way the UDC is currently being proposed, this would almost encourage more of this activity to be able to be grandfathered in for when the UDC started. And I'm not sure that's really the intent of the UDC. So And if the EDC chose not to have these type of ordinances in there, well, then this would go away anyway. So that's kind of the intent of our proposal.
Very good.
Okay.
Be prepared to respond to that. And I'm going to ask the council at this point to join me in supporting ordinance 27. We got great opportunities coming into the Allendale community through the Heritage Place project and accumulating as much as we can to be ready for those opportunities that's going to be forthcoming. So I ask that you would support that. Any other comments or questions?
I'll just mention briefly on ordinance 24 and 25 related to the intermodal bus facility. I think we did have a conversation about why that's necessary, but just want to make sure that if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out. And then with 26, this is again a expression of ownership in some adjudicated properties that would help to complete the site for the Civil Rights Museum. So certainly would ask everyone's support for that.
Okay. Any other comments? Let me ask a question. Councilman, you may could help me. I received I don't know if you received it, man. I received a correspondence from Lane Calloway regarding creating an application to the Old Galilee Church being on historic site. Did you?
I don't know if I received one from him. I heard him talk about it. I don't know if I saw the
Did you
direct
receive-
email. or not.
Anybody else receive it?
Yesterday.
Yeah.
And I tried to reach him today, and he's doing it on behalf of the city.
He's what now?
His comment was, "I'm doing this on behalf of the city." And my question is, and I may wait, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it now, that if we support or adjourn with historic sites being put on the register, and my understanding is historic sites sometimes being on the register avoids them from ever being removed from their site.
He's not doing it on behalf of the city.
Well, my question is that something that we want to subscribe to? Because if we go a part of accepting historical sites designations and they are dilapidated, what is our responsibility in sustaining those?
You know,
I can help answer
Okay,
that.
help answer that
probably,
for me.
just to say, I believe the mayor is correct in that I don't, to my understanding, this is not on the behalf of the city. Now, he may want
and I
us
do
to
need
join
finish
in.
that. I need to finish that whenever you finish,
Sure, sure.
Councilman, because I need to tell
And
you
I'll
what
say that,
we had.
just in terms of generalized historic sites, it is not impossible to tear down a historic site, but if something is on the, Federal Register of Historic Places, there certainly are more benchmarks and more things that you have to do before you tear that down. But it is not impossible, nor is it really even that difficult to still get the ability to tear it down. However, in this situation here, I haven't given it any thought because I didn't know he was applying for this. I mean, I think I have heard discussion of some interest in doing that.
Yeah.
And in fact, I know I have, but I don't know that that comes from the city or anyone with the city.
It does not. And now,
Yeah.
let me assure you, I had a meeting. May I?
Yes, please.
Am I in order? We had a meeting with Mr. Callaway and Mr. Wayne, who is also one of the commissioners. As you probably know, particularly the former council members, this commission was established prior to my administration, okay? And, I had gotten some concerns from other leaders in the community that they had, that commission had come up with some guidelines and administrative rules that had not been approved by the council. And they've been sending out letters and information that it appears that, those guidelines had been approved. I'm trying to be diplomatic about it. And they even had letterhead that had from the office of the mayor, and I asked him to remove that, and I have that in writing. I put stuff in writing on purpose, because I want people to know. I can always go back and say, remember, I asked you to move that. This is not coming from my office. And I did make the recommendation. I had staff with me that before they come up with these different guidelines, that, you know, in the ordinance, they need to bring stuff back to city council to get those things approved. Because these are the kinds of things that create concerns in the community. When you have guidelines and we don't know anything about those guidelines, you don't know anything about those guidelines, and then when he starts sending out information to people, they think we all have approved this. And really, he's not acting on behalf of the city. They have a Shreveport Historic Preservation Commission that was established, and I don't know, a couple of years ago? I think, was it about 2 years ago?
2 or 3.
2 or 3 years ago, and it's one of those situations that we inherited again. And I've asked them if they're going, before they really start sending information out, and they've already started doing it, I asked them to bring any guidelines to city council to you know, at least so you all can have dialogue and get some approval. I mean, that's where I left the conversation.
And I think the standard process for those really is, you're right, they're sort of being discussed about and represented as if they were further along in the process than they really were, because those actually have to be approved by the MPC before they're sent to the city council, and then we are supposed to adopt them. So before they actually adopt anything, it is supposed to come to us. But you know, I think that they have helped with certainly with the application of Booker T. Washington High School. That was one where people requested to have it be made a you know, a historic site on the federal historic list of you know, on the larger list. There are 3 levels of historic preservation list: local, state, and federal. And in that historic preservation ordinance, it does specify how and who can initiate an application for those. It does not have to be the city by any means. It can be somebody else can initiate that. Okay. But in this particular case of the Old Galilee Church, the city is the owner of that building, and so we would have to sign on if we wanted that to be applied for. You know, somebody else can nominate it. They can even start the process rolling. But before it's actually applied for, we would have to, as a city, agree or not agree to that application.
Council Clerk.
Jeff just mentioned what I wanted to mention, that everybody should be aware that the city does own that building.
And I'm going to visit with Mr. Callaway, and I didn't ask that question regarding that building in particular. My question and my concern is, if historic sites currently are potential or become historic sites and they're dilapidated, does that mean that the city would have to maintain that to a certain degree?
What it does is, when you're on the Federal Register of Historic Places,
okay,
that would be the highest level one. Sure. You know, a local one, you wouldn't be eligible for much in the way of incentives unless it's in a district and a contributing element. A state one, you're eligible for state historic tax credits, and a federal one, you're eligible for federal historic tax credits. So what happens is a lot of historic properties are typically in dilapidated condition when they're nominated, because that provides an economic incentive to fix them up. But now if the city, I mean, we would have to take a close look at something that is owned by us as to if we wanted it there or not. And it would be a case-by-case sort of you know, situation to see, is this worth it for us to add this to the historic or the, you know, to the federal database of historic properties. Because there are some responsibilities, there are also some opportunities that come along with that. For instance, you know, we were able to use historic tax credits on the municipal auditorium to extend that project budget. So there are some good sides to it and some bad sides to it. So I would think, and like with any decision, we would need to have a little due diligence on each one as it comes to us. But there's not a general obligation over any other property obligation that we would have. Nothing would compel us to have to do something to it.
I mean, okay, so, and you've been, we're gonna make him a consultant, he's got. But, so it's gonna come to us, and we can evaluate it. It's in our interest to co-sign on it.
Well, my personal opinion on this one, I think we should have a conversation that would involve Community Development Department and some of the partners that are working on this project through the city. I know that there was a meeting, I did attend a meeting that was called from not the Historic Preservation Group, but the Civil Rights Museum group. And I did attend a meeting of that group, and there was some discussion there and some differences of opinion that I think I haven't really heard fully fleshed out yet. And so I think before either side sort of moves forward fast, there probably are some conversations that need to happen to close that loop.
Absolutely.
Because I know they called that meeting at last notice. I was able to attend, but I know there were a number of other people that weren't, who were invited. And so I think before anything happens, that group sort of needs to get back together and talk to the people who weren't able to be at that meeting that day. Because
Absolutely.
I left before any decisions were made. It was a council day, so I left and headed here. It was maybe the last meeting or the meeting before that. And yeah, I would recommend some loops being closed before any action's taken in that front.
We'll revisit that. All right, thank you. Any other comments, questions regarding these legislations? If not, we may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ordinances on second reading and final passages. Ordinance 7 amends the 2016 Airport Enterprise Fund budget. Ordinance 13 amends the 2016 General Fund budget. Ordinance 14A, an ordinance amending the 2016 Capital Improvements budget. Ordinance 15 amends the 2016 Budget Street Special Revenue Fund, appropriating the funds authorized therein. Ordinance 16 amends the 2016 Capital Improvements budget. Ordinance 21 is an ordinance amending the 2016 budget funding contractual services provided by Sportran by Metro Management Associates Incorporated. Ordinance 22 is an ordinance amending the 2016 capital improvements budget. Ordinance 17 is a zoning case issue C-108-15, amending Chapter 106 of the Code of Ordinances, the City of Shreveport zoning ordinances by rezoning property located on the east side of Spring Street Service Road, 112 feet north of Uri Drive, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, being the same is hereby changed from B3 Community Business District to I1 Light Industrial District with site plan approval and use. Ordinance 18 is a zoning case number C-2-16, amending Chapter 106 of the Code of Ordinances, the City of Shreveport zoning ordinances by rezoning property located in the northwest corner of Forbing Road and East Fluent on Lucas Road, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, being the same is hereby changed from R1D Urban One Family Residential District to B2 Neighborhood Business District with site plan and planned building group approval. Ordinance 19, zoning case number C-5-16, is an ordinance amending Chapter 106 of the Code of Ordinances, the City of Shreveport zoning ordinances by rezoning property located on the northeast corner of Hearn Avenue and Quinton Street, 43 feet east of Hearn Avenue, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, being the same is hereby changed from B2 Neighborhood Business District to R2 Suburban Multifamily Residential District with site plan approval. And ordinance number 20 is also zoning case number C-9-16, amending Chapter 106 of the Code of Ordinances, the City of Shreveport zoning ordinances by rezoning property located on the east and west side of Sand Beach Boulevard, 950 feet south of East 70th Street, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, being the same as hereby changed from B1 Buffer Business District to B3 Community Business District to R3 Urban Multifamily Residential District with site plan and use approval.
Okay, now we had opportunity to discuss a lot of these, most of these at the introduction at the last meeting. Any other questions or comment regarding
Chairman.
any of these? Yes.
Mr. Chairman, tomorrow the administration will ask that Ordinance 7 and its companion Ordinance 22, those are airport ordinances, the ASOA amendment, be removed from the agenda.
Ready?
7 and what?
22.
Okay. We will entertain that tomorrow. Any other questions or comments regarding these? Okay, if not, thank you, Mr. Crawford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Table legislation, Mr. Clerk, we have any table legislation that going to be considered?
I'm not aware of any to be removed.
Okay. Mr. Green,
That time of the day.
appeals, proper standard. Please come forward.
Can I just ask real quick to the tech folks, my monitor is flashing on and off and on and off and on and off the whole time. Kind of driving me crazy.
Is a technician in the house?
If there's something I'm doing wrong, somebody let me know. But it's just flashing on and off like a strobe light. It's,
You know what the switch was for, but it's a finger mark.
yeah, it could be. So anyway, go ahead, Terrence. I'm sorry. I'll just not
You
look
wanna
at
share-
it for a minute. It's,
Well, we got the strings for it now, okay.
Yeah, our first case is 728 Austin Place.
Oh, wow, okay. That's your district, Councilman.
A lot of work has been done to the property.
We want them to feel good about it.
I really appreciate their continued effort on this and would like to extend, God, how long you think, Terrence?
We usually do 6 months at a time to not have to keep coming back and forth. The rear of the structure, you can see where it's been painted white. They have completed a lot of most of the plumbing work on that side of the structure has been done. The owner is here to speak on behalf, if you would like to.
Well,
speak
sure, if
to
she
her.
wants to
And,
come up,
she
it's
has some other
always good
plans
to
and
see her. I'd love to
additions.
hear the progress. We're so proud of the work they're doing there, and I know it's a lofty task.
Had to be in building permit people, so I've been today too. Debbie Bryant, I'm the owner of the Ogilvy Wiener Mansion, or the old Florentine Club, 728 Austin Place. I live at 9640 Tammy Avenue, and so we're about halfway through the structure now. The back side of the house has been completely replaced, and now we're on the side where the parking lot is, and all that's been either new siding made like the old siding was from DeKalb, Texas, and then some of the old siding, so we've got it primed, and probably middle of this month we'll be working on the front of the house. So I'm getting excited about that, getting ready to put the porches back on. So we're just coming right along with my carpenter. He works 3 to 4 days a week, depending on the weather. I think we're going to get rained out this week. But so, any questions for me?
Well, I just want to say I sure appreciate you putting all of the effort and time into doing it. I know it has been a long effort, and we certainly appreciate you doing it. It's a beautiful building and really important.
It's going to be well worth it when we get finished, and I hope it'll be a good asset to the Shreveport, to the downtown district, because we're in hopes to open a bed and breakfast. So once we get it to that point, so
I'm sure it'll be a big hit, and
I think so too.
I agree. Well, I would move to extend the deadline by 6 months.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Epperson, seconded by Councilman Jenkins, that we'll give you a 6-month extension for another progress report. Are there any discussions regarding this motion? If not, let's vote.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Thank
About
you.
resolution
We're
48.
excited.
Motion passes. I'm sorry?
6-0, yes.
Yes.
Okay, our next case is 34 Caldwell Place. Okay, this is the front of the main structure. This is going down the side, but this is, the garage is what we're dealing with on the property. The owners have been demolishing the structure themselves.
Say it again, the owners have, wait now.
They've been demolishing the structure. They asked for 90 days to finish demolition.
And I'd like to make a motion to propose 60 days. I worry about 90 days for a demolition. I think you should be able to certainly take it apart and take it down by then.
Right.
And, you know, frankly, if we had to do it ourselves and we started today, it'd probably take us 60 days before we got it done, once we did all the, so I think saying 60 days is both prudent, reasonable, and appropriate.
Absolutely.
A second? You second it? It's your district.
Yeah.
You second it, we'll come get you. All righty, it's been moved by Councilman Jenkins, seconded by Councilman Bowman, that we will give them 60-day tolerance of demolition. Any discussion? Not, please vote.
We took a building down in 3 days.
That passed 6-0? All right, thank you. You may continue, sir.
Once you say go.
Our next case is a bill dispute
I
Absolutely.
agree.
for 3025 Midway Street. The owner says his brakes went out on his truck and he wouldn't be able to make it today.
They want to do it themselves, good.
Frank?
That's our work order. This is where the inspector went out, did his first inspection and second. This is before and after photos, taken the same day, very short in time as far as time it took to cut the property.
The bill dispute is regarding
He says that we didn't cut his
grass
grass.
cutting.
Right,
Okay, this is Council Ladies Lynch's district.
yes.
And what was your understanding and position on, did you speak with Councilman Lynch, Council Lady Lynch?
Yes.
What was the conversation?
I told her we cut it,
That you cut it?
yes. And that the grass was in violation.
She sent an email, did you?
She did.
Yes. I moved to uphold the property standards.
Second time.
Moved by Councilman Everson, second by Councilman Corbin, that we would uphold the the property standards position that it was cut and that the bill is due. Is there any discussion? I'm sorry? Any discussion? Please vote.
I accidentally hit the yes on Stephanie's. I didn't mean to. I just moved here because my monitor's broken, so. Cancel her vote. I didn't know how to take the vote off of there.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I think everybody heard that he requested that it be postponed. I just wanted to be sure that everybody understood that. But she sent an email saying that she wanted to uphold.
Oh, no, Jeff, we just voted to uphold it.
To uphold
I
it.
know. But I just wanted the record to reflect and
he
everybody know that he requested to postpone it. That is the
Plaintiff?
The plaintiff.
person who appealed.
I think we understood that. We did understand that, right? Yeah, but we voted in affirmative. Okay,
Thank you.
okay. All right, you may
This is,
continue.
the second case, same
6-0.
address.
I'm sorry. Okay, we got it.
Okay.
Same address.
Same address. Same situation?
Same situation.
When did these occurrences, when was these occurrences?
7/8/15, 2015.
7/8/15.
So that's July 18th of 2015, so 7 or 8 months ago. Okay.
And I took some extra photos just to show you. That's the house.
And he disputed that one also?
Well, he's disputing the demolition of the house.
The demolition of the house?
Halfway gone. There's no house there.
And did he, when it came through, did he appeal or did he show up at any of the?
He has appealed it. He'll be in the appeals board next month
For the demolition.
for the demolition.
What was he appealing that?
He can put it back
The price
together.
of the demolition?
No, he says he can rehab it.
That he could have rehabbed.
Can we have that?
Right.
Oh,
Must
hold
be
on.
a miracle worker.
Okay, hold on a second. Oh, so it hasn't been torn, tell me what, I'm a little confused. So,
That's from this morning.
okay, so he hasn't, oh, I thought it had already been demolished when you said he's,
Demolished. Not demolished. So that's
Okay.
today.
That's the living room.
okay, you see why I'm asking, Jeff, I was under, you
I was
were thinking
confused too.
that
I thought these pictures were from a,
from prior and that we had already demolished it and he was debating the, okay,
That's what
I
I
got you.
So he's appealing the demolition of
The
order,
appeals board.
and he said he can repair that.
Right.
He don't need Jesus
What is
Christ
he, what is he
himself.
appealing on? What's the second
Ma'am?
one that they're appealing?
Oh, I
it
just,
was
I'm
2 weeks.
talking out loud. He's
Those
gonna
two
need
grass
Christ to
letters.
help him with that, because it's gonna be a miracle to
I was just showing them the property.
I'd move to uphold the
Miracle
property
to do that
standards
one.
board on this one. I'll say
As
second.
What did he ask?
For the record, is that an appeal that's before the council?
No, no.
It's just added information that he's providing to the council.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I thought you were
No,
saying
sir.
there was a separate appeal for that.
No, just,
No,
Okay, got it.
just an
Never
FYI.
mind.
Okay, so that's not.
Just a
before
little
us.
land yap, we won't
Okay.
charge you for it.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
The one on.
I wanna be consistent, you know, if this does come for us. Now, there was a gentleman last hearing that I personally didn't think it was repairable, it was adjacent to his property, and we gave him the benefit of the doubt. I don't know if this guy ever appealed that to us. I wanna go out and look at that,
okay.
okay? Because I wanna be consistent, I don't know, we really kind of was like, are you really gonna repair this? I'm talking about the last gentleman, so let's, I wanna.
Has he?
Huh?
Has he?
No, we
repaired?
gave him 30 days to do some preliminary stuff, and he's gonna report back to us in 30 days.
Barrett Street.
Right? And
Sorry?
just- Yes, sir. And just for the record, you know, we thought we needed to demolish that one.
I did too.
So it wasn't on us, okay?
No, we took his word. I mean, he seemed like he bought the property as it was, and he wanted to move with it. And I'm saying, I want to talk to this guy and tell me, what is your game plan? How are you gonna, do
Rehash
this?
this, right?
So we'll look at it. Okay, thank you. And we
Been consistent.
we together.
Okay.
We're ready for the next one.
One more bill dispute, for 2613 Lillian Street. Okay, this is from
Ms. Allen,
7,
you-
yes, Ms. Allen is here.
Okay,
She's right here.
let's back up just a minute.
Okay.
Am I on that?
Mr.
Yes,
Chair,
yes,
Mr. Chairman,
Mr.
okay. Terrence, let me just be clear, on the last house that we spoke of on Midway.
Yes,
Were
sir.
there two appeals for two different grass cutting bills?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I believe that the council only voted on one of those.
Okay.
And we went right into the demolition part, and I think that's why I was trying to get a little straightening out. So I think,
And then
Uh,
Felicia
All right, let's be clear before we move forward. Thank you, Mr.
Yes,
Clerk,
sir. I thank
Mr.
the city
CEO.
attorney.
We want to be sure that we cover
Let's go back.
Both pieces of
pieces.
legislation, yeah, and both pieces of,
I don't
You
feel
showed
bad
us the
that if
grass
I'm on-
cutting.
That's the second one.
before and after from the previous
You
one.
don't know about that.
and we got sidetracked with the demolition, and that wasn't even
That's-
a part of it.
that's what we got sidetracked.
Right, right.
There were two, and are the bills from two different dates, Terrence?
Yes.
Okay, that's what, so we need,
Okay.
we need a.
One is from
second.
2014, one is from, this one is 2015 that you would vote on.
So we need a,
Thank you.
I move that we would uphold the emphasis on the second grass cutting dispute.
Second.
Moved and second by Chair, second by Councilman Jenkins, that we would uphold the piece. That also congestion. Any discussion? Let's vote, please. Motion pass. I'm sorry? Thank you. You see, I can't see that well.
Mr. Everson, I think you can still vote at your position.
I did.
Oh.
Yeah, I accidentally hit that button before, so I switched it to abstain instead of a yes or a no.
do in Baton Rouge, that's fine.
No, that's what it's the Caddo Commission, I believe, that's currently the abstaining.
They're
They're the ones that I've read recently.
I think her lack of presence here is adequate to abstain. So I think she meets the
She
test.
probably meets the actual, she didn't do electronic, right?
yes,
Was that
yes.
one of the
Mr.
issues?
Gray, continue. Our councilman have got no track again.
Okay.
Sidebar, huh?
Case number 4 is 2613 Lillian Street. Ms. Allen is here.
What's the dispute, Mr. Green?
This is a weed abatement bill dispute.
But you know, reports from officers, board, committee.
Okay, that's the before.
Planning on doing public safety.
That's the after on the same date. There's two of those also, right?
Yes, sir.
At our last
That's
city council
the afterwards
meeting,
on the 20.
I have not missed it.
That's the before. That's the after.
Okay.
This is
All
just
right.
one, this is one of them.
And I spoke with
Yes.
Mi- Judy, come up, please. Let me see what's going on here.
I see what you're saying.
Come up and state your name and your address and tell me, we had a conversation, you told me that your people had cut. There's a small one, you can use that one right there.
Yes, I'm Judy Allen, okay.
It's very sensitive, so we won't be able to understand you if you slow.
And like you see, I'm Latino, okay?
Yes.
I'm
We
representing the Latino community too
Sure.
at the same
Okay.
time.
Now, state your name for the record again for the
I'm
council.
Judy Allen.
Judy Allen,
I live in 2719 Lillian,
yes,
okay?
okay,
Before I purchased, there was a house in there.
yes,
Okay, I went over there to the city and, there was burned out the kitchen.
yes,
And I went to pay the $300. I'm waiting for the bed, When I went and the next week I saw in there a sign what they say demolition, couple weeks after. Okay? I say, I just paid $300 for it, and now they have a sign for demolition. Okay, I went to talk with Malcolm and he told me he don't know nothing. Because Malcolm told me, go and talk with property standards. Okay? She's gonna have to, if they put a sign in there, they're gonna have to give you time to, after you purchase, you can have time to fix it and everything. Okay, my brother came from California, he's a contractor, okay, and we went to talk with property standards. I talked with the lady in there. She said, okay, I give you 10 days as soon as you pay. That's all I can do, you can apply later, to city council or more time. I said, okay, that's fine, This house, really, this piece of land be a nightmare by the time I got it. Okay, and then I went and paid the money, the day the city told me the paper was ready and everything, I went to pay him. The same day I paid, and the same day they demolished the property. I pay almost $2,000 for it, but I pay in a house $2,000. When I got back, the house was demolished.
Okay.
And I supposed to have 10 days after I pay for.
okay. Ms. Allen, let me do this, because I want to be clear to the council what we're doing here. You're contesting after the house was removed, that the grass had become out of standard and.
Yes.
and
That's what they say. It's
Okay,
3
but-
lots in there together now.
I'm sorry?
It's 3 lots, empty lots,
Yes.
3 together. And
Right.
that lot is not my pick, not the lot for mine. Because
These
when
lots
they.
on the picture were yours?
No, that was the lot before me, okay? When they remove the house, it's a lot of concrete in there. It's not growing grass, okay? Because my guys barely cut. Last time I sent it to cut in there. The first time I get a notice for $192, okay? I went to the city with property standards. I say, how come they didn't tell me anything? Why I receive a bill? I live on La Block, and I have my guy who cut my grass everywhere, okay?
Yes, ma'am, hold one second.
The
Mr.
lady
Green,
was too busy
Ms.
to
Allen,
talk
hold
with
one
me.
second, just 1 second for me, okay? Put those images back up there, please.
It's to get the 3 empty lots in there. Mine is in the middle one, where the 3 is. You see, this is not mine. The next one is mine.
The concrete is there.
No, the other is one big tree, a little bit. That one is, you see?
But that's the one that was cut, right?
No. They say they cut, but they went behind. Well, after we cut it, they go behind. I never got any notice. They just got certified this is your bill, and you had to pay. I went over there to talk with the lady, and she didn't want to talk to me. They told me you had to make an appointment. You see, I went again. The next time I went was Mr. Green in there because I got another bill. But this one, I got a company, I hired a company. I said, look, I need you to go cut my grass because these people going behind the other guy across the street who cut my grass and saying they cutting the grass. Because it's 3 lots together, okay? The biggest grass they grow is the last one over there or this one, you
Okay.
see? And this one don't have too much because it's a lot of concrete in the floor. And you can guys go check it out in there, how long they went last time, and still the grass not, because I live a block from there.
Okay. All right, I want to be clear. These pictures, these images
Right.
are from the addresses that she owned.
Right. Well, the inspector knows where he tore the house down at.
But she made a point, though, actually. I mean, the time between the demolition of the house and this grass situation, how much time elapsed? I mean, the house was torn down in 2013.
Right.
And these
And
are
these images are
2014.
from
2014.
2014, so,
That's a year.
so it would be enough time for grass to grow in that,
Right.
grass section. All right, gentlemen, let me tell you what, I asked,
Is that the one where the grass is not cut? Where's the tree? On the second one.
This is the first property. So I'm in the middle, both lots.
Okay.
There's a tree down over there. You're looking for,
This one, in my right is one lot empty, and the left is another empty. You see, I'm in the center now. And you see, that was the house. You see all the concrete, where they come out, they don't cover, and then they grow grass on one side only.
well, let me explain, or you want to explain what happened here, so that we can get, the issue here, gentlemen, is that the grass cutting lien is going to come to a situation to where this property may be put at risk. And I don't want, since she paid for it, and then the house was torn down, I don't want her to lose it on a technicality.
Look
Of-
like to me, somebody either want the lot, you know, for free, okay? Or they want to build up something in there, because there's 3 lots in there, plus the last one, the house was confidential, they got burned up too. Now the whole, almost a half a block is empty completely.
Okay, but let me,
Because I cut the grass and they went behind and they say they cut it.
okay.
Finance.
Excuse one, hold on one second. I want to ask the director as well as my clerk. You familiar with what we discussed on this?
Yes, as I understand it, she started purchasing the house.
Okay,
She was told that she'd have a certain amount of time to do it.
okay,
And the date that she actually signed the deed and paid for the house is the date that the house was torn down. Now, that was back in 2013.
okay,
And apparently, property management was pursuing one course and property standards was pursuing a different course. That is, a demolition, and one was to sell the property. But now, she cannot pay her taxes because of the grass liens that are on the property. And what you talked about was perhaps doing something about these because of the other unfortunate situation, so that she can pay the taxes and she will not lose the property, will not be sold at a tax sale.
okay. I see you, Councilman Corbin. But let me add to that. She actually paid $1,700 and some for this house, that house right there. And then, in the process of her getting her resources together to repair it or whatever, the house was demolished.
But I supposed to have 10 days after I.
Well, what's supposed to have, Mr. Allen, what was supposed to have happened is what didn't happen, okay? We trying to resolve it in a way that I think is fair. I'm trying to do that. I mean, because now we got another situation where your house is at risk. You paid $1,700 and some for the house. The city had it demolished, and then once the city had demolished, then they realized, property center realized that it had been sold and demolished, and then
I
they.
didn't realize, because I went to talk with the lady.
No, we got two different entities that's dealing with this.
With the
and-
same lady, I went to talk, you see, about the bill when they sent me $192. And she didn't.
That was a different issue, Ms. Allen, that was a different issue. The grass cutting and the demolition of the house and your purchase of the house is one issue. And I'm speaking on that to administration. I'm going to ask the administration, because this is a very unfortunate incident, Mayor. It's very unfortunate that it seems to have been no correlation going on between one department and another department. She purchased the house for $1,700 plus. She paid them. And then
At tax sale or
No.
on the market?
On the market.
No, there was a tax sale. There was
Didn't it?
adjudicated house for the city.
I think she bought the city's interest. She bought it through
Tax sale.
property management.
Yes.
Okay, so she bought it through property management without any knowledge that property standards had a demolition order on it.
She knew there was a demolition order.
No, no, no. When I went to purchase, they had nothing. 2 weeks after, the notice was there in the front house, okay? I went to Malcolm, to the city, I said, how come my house is in demolition? I already paid the deposit, you know, $300.
But I'm not debating what, I want to say, when she shows up to purchase at tax sale, the city's interest, she has not handed anything that tells her there's a demolition order or that it's currently in some stage of property standards
You
violation.
understand it? No.
Okay.
Yes, I understand.
Okay. Then things unfold. She pays $1,700, right?
Right.
Now, time goes by and there's some allegation whether she cut the grass or not. I get all that.
That's a year later.
Okay, a year later. So now there's a lien on the property for the grass.
For the tax and the grass, the fee for the grass cutting and the tax is conjunct.
The taxes.
And she,
Okay, but, okay, let me say this. Has she paid her 2015 property taxes?
she,
can't pay it.
that's why.
I did.
Okay.
You did.
What part do you pay?
Last year I paid. Yes, last year I did.
Okay, but this year you got the tax and the lien on it, and that's what you can't pay.
Yes.
Okay, now there's some suggestion out here, Willie, that I'm kind of missing is, well, she would lose the property, but for her to lose the property, right, somebody has to redeem it for the $1,700 that she paid for it, right?
But no, if she can't pay her taxes and it's sold at a tax sale, that's what we are talking about now. She doesn't have the money to pay the lien plus the taxes, and you cannot pay the taxes without
Paying the lien first.
Right.
I don't think I should pay it, you know, other way I could.
And how much is the lien for, $178?
No, it's twice that, I think.
No, it's
Yeah.
it's 192 twice.
And I went twice to talk with them.
Okay.
I talked last
I got it.
time was.
Okay, now I got it.
Let me recognize Councilman Corbin. Councilman Corbin.
Terrence, can we go back to the picture of the property? I'm looking at a different picture that I found on Google Maps.
Oh, really?
And I see the driveway and I guess what is the sidewalk to the original home place. And there looks like there's a fence row, chain link fence, which I guess we can see on this. And there's another lot that appears to be between that fence and the house on the right, if you're facing it. Is her property only up to the chain link fence, the home place?
No, my property
Or does
Ms.
she
Allen,
have
Ms.
both
Allen,
lots?
he's asking the question to the gentleman. Okay, just hold 1 second, thank you.
When you say, is it only up to the chain link fence? What do you mean?
Okay. Okay, now, so. Yeah, it's hard to tell from what I'm looking at if, go back to your house picture. Or your property picture. Okay, so see that chain link fence? There appears to be another lot between that chain link fence and the next home. Does Miss
That's
Allen?
an alley.
Miss Allen own all of that?
No, that's not my property. My property is a little farther over here to the left side. The right side is where the fence is another empty lot.
Okay.
Mine is in the middle of two empty lots, you see?
Empty lot on either side of it.
Which one is yours? I mean, this one?
2613.
This one?
I know.
And what they're showing in the picture is the other one, right?
This one?
That's the chain link right there in the end.
And the chain link thing you're talking about is on this side of the property?
No, it's the other one.
The other
chain
side.
link is the last one.
If it didn't,
Yeah, because in the two lots, it's nothing. The last one, they have one chain link.
I'm a little suspicious that we're talking about the wrong
Yeah.
piece
I'm
of
just
property.
looking
I don't
at
mean
this.
that as a criticism,
Bunch of
but I'm wondering if we have one person cutting one thing and one person, because I'm sure the property lines aren't that particularly clear out there.
It doesn't look like they were clear when they had homes on them either.
No, but you know what I'm saying? I have a fear that we have one person cutting one thing and somebody cutting something else, and they're both saying, well.
Yeah, I mean, but if you look at where those, I'm just laughing because that structure that may not be there.
They're all on different properties.
Yeah, but whenever it was built, it's over 2 different lots. I mean, it's, wouldn't meet setback codes of today.
All right, gentlemen, let's do this. Y'all help me out here. The reality of this situation is that Miss Allen is out of a little over $1,700. The house is gone. We're talking about $384. I want us to, and I'm gonna make a motion that, I hope you support it, that we will forgive the 384 and then reduce the lien and let her pay her taxes and move on. The taxes not our, the taxes is,
How much were the taxes if she?
well, it can't be that much, I don't know. I mean,
$50 taxes.
it's been moved by the chair, seconded by the vice chair, that we will forgive the,
Now it's $500 with,
with all together, yeah. So, that we will give her the consideration, since she's out of $1,700 some dollars already, and that this, and I'm sorry that it happened, and we're gonna work with the administration to see that this doesn't happen again. But anyway, I have a second by the vice chair. Are there any discussion?
I see a very puzzled clerk over there.
No, forgive the debt and release the lien. And there is confusion about whether or not we're talking about the same piece of
Well,
property too.
yeah,
I have a lot of debate on whether we're all talking about where we're putting our $190 is getting the same thing that she actually
So
owns.
because of all of these issues,
Yeah,
I
I
want to
think
make
that's,
it clear that we're not forgiving somebody just because she bought a property. We don't
because of
want to
the,
set a precedent.
no, because the problem is I bought it a house in there, you see? And you guys didn't even give me 10 days to fix it. Just tear it down the same. I pay about 1 o'clock, $1,700.
Yes, ma'am.
And the house, when I went to check it out, it was going.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I don't want
I
to,
went to Malcolm,
I am
went to the
very
city, and I went
concerned.
to talk with my lawyer because I was so upset, you know? I said, I paid $1,700 and the house is going today?
yeah, we beyond
we're
that.
acknowledging
Okay,
that.
we're beyond that.
We're acknowledging. I just want to say our precedent is that not when somebody comes up here to
That's what I picked up on.
have grass cut and then the city does it, that we pay for the grass to be cut, we forgive them of the lien so that they can pay their taxes. That is not the precedent that I am voting for today. I want to make sure that that is
That's not what I'm
extremely
voting for
clear.
either. Okay.
That's what it
Making
sounds
that
like.
clear
No,
for the
I
record.
don't think that's.
Yeah, I have a feeling there may be some extenuating circumstances in this whole
But
discussion.
this scenario is not gonna be, I don't see it, but, because again, the issue is if we would have, had some coordination going on to where she would have known that this house was a candidate for demolition, something needs to relate to that. But anyway, nevertheless, I'm calling for the vote. All in favor, vote yeah.
Because I noticed it was out there on the demolition. She bought the house, they didn't tell her that. Somebody didn't tell her.
Everybody voted?
No, wait, Mr. Bowman.
You're not hurting anybody's
Chairman.
feelings. Okay.
5 yes, 1 no.
Thank you.
Okay, let me say this for the record. I think it would be extremely prudent for both Property Standards and Malcolm to get together and make sure what she has a deed on is actually the property that we are discussing here today. I have a lot of concerns that maybe the house was not really on the property that when we took that down, that wasn't. I got a lot of concerns that when we're not sure what the property and the tract is,
Right,
that for her future,
right.
that we know what we're putting a lien on if she doesn't pay her, you know.
Absolutely. And you know, here again, we're dealing with 2 different offices. Property management is not in our office, right? And so we're gonna fix that. Because
Mayor.
anytime somebody buys property, they should be told that it's on the demolition list.
And I did went to Marco. When I saw the sign in there, 2 weeks after, I went, I said, why you didn't tell me it's gonna demolish? Why I'm gonna buy a house where they're gonna demolish?
We acknowledge that.
We acknowledge and we apologize, and we're
I
gonna,
say, go talk with proper standards.
Ms. Allen, thank you. We've helped you, and we apologize for the confusion.
I'm very
And
worried.
I would have
She has
to acknowledge
track.
to everybody that happened in 2013,
That we're talking
prior
about,
to
both with the house
this administration
and
being
with the law.
With the law, yeah, absolutely.
in place.
That's really my concern.
Thank you very kindly. Let's move on. No,
Excuse me, what they
I
gonna
can tell,
happen now? I need to know.
that could be. a
What's gonna
real
happen
issue.
now?
Because as soon as you got houses and
Somebody from
properties-
administration, will you
I got
counsel
the
her
yellow
and let her know what's going on? You
Follow
will?
up with her.
Okay.
I'm not even sure.
Okay, follow Mr. Green, and he'll let you know what we just did, okay? Thank you very much. We apologize for your inconvenience.
That's my real concern.
Okay. All right.
That the reason they didn't.
And thank you,
know-
gentlemen. I think we did the right thing in being concerned and sensitive to her situation. Okay. Are there any other appeals, Mr. Clerk?
That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Okay. Are there any reports from
Property.
officers, board, or committees that want to relate to us?
think we clicked one of them one time.
None? Thank you. Clerk, you have a report?
None today, Mr. Chairman.
Clerk doesn't have a report. Thank you. Do we have any additional communications from the mayor?
No, sir, thank you.
From any council members? Thank you.
Ready to call it a day.
Ready to call it a day? Let's call it. Ready to adjourn.
Good work.
Thank you, guys. We